It's always worse than we thought. So think about this. We know they spied on President Trump. Then we learned it's senators and the Speaker of the House. And now we learned they were spying on me for 2.5 years. But what I want to know is who signed off on this ultimately? Did Chris Wray know about this? This is the Biden DOJ. Did Merrick Garland know about this? Because this subpoena was
they all knew about it.
Sent in April of 2022. Did Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General?
This is twice this has happened to me. I was hauled into court in Atlanta for no good reason, spent $1 million, and the crime is being friends of Trump, being supporters of Trump.
Jim Jordan, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, was spied on. We know that Jack Smith and his goons went after a bunch of people, senators and other House representatives, people like Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, Marsha Blackburn, Tommy Tuberville, Eric Schmidt, very powerful senators, and Jim Jordan. Now, what's even worse about Jim Jordan being spied on is this went on for years, apparently, not just a couple days. We know Lindsey Graham was freaked out. He's like, who was I texting January 7th? I don't really remember. Years for Jim Jordan, gobbling up everything, who he was talking to, how long those conversations were, and more. He shared this. He says, they spied on President Trump. They spied on senators. Now we just learned they spied on me. If they can do it to us, they can do it to you. We said, well, we know they've been doing it to us for a long time, under attack by our own government for years. But now Congress is getting involved. So Jim Jordan posted this. He says, look what we have here. Grand jury subpoena to Verizon Communications for any and all accounts associated with the following identifiers. Would have been Jim Jordan, phone number, address, email, whatever. Here's what we want. All records from January 1, 2020 to the present. We want subscriber information. They got all of this for Jim. He's going to explain it. Subscriber names, usernames, screen names, addresses, all call detail records, including but not limited to detail records for inbound and outbound calls, text messages, direct connect voicemail messages, length of service, start date, means and source of payment, all the identifiers, records of sessions, IP addresses, everything. So Verizon, give them to us and we will look at them. Here is another order that came down, filed under seal. Jim Jordan sharing this. This matter having come before the court, requesting an order to direct Verizon to hand all this crap over to our disgusting federal government. It is ordered that provider and its employees shall also not disclose the existence of the subpoena to any other persons except attorneys for Verizon for the purpose of receiving legal advice for 1 year. Once again, our executive branch spying on top Republicans. The scandal is so egregious. It literally makes Watergate look like a joke. Okay, they went in, like broke in and took some physical files or, whatever they made up, whatever the CIA did. This is years of data gobbled up by Jack Smith and his goons. And here is more from the story. So the Oversight Committee and Judiciary Committee now going to have to answer and figure out what went down here. But the Biden Justice Department, as we're learning, subpoenaed Jim Jordan's personal phone records back in 2022, seeking more than 2 years of data, all related to Arctic frost, which ultimately led to charges against the president. So Fox News, Ashley Oliver, they say this subpoena drafted and gobbled up in 2022. The full subpoena Fox News got shows a federal prosecutor who later worked on Jack Smith's team ordered them to give them all the data all the way back to January 1, 2020. 2 years. The request appears to be the most expansive yet of these known subpoenas. And I got to imagine it's just massive. There's probably a lot more involved here. And this begs the question, are they going to go after Stacey Plaskett's text messages for interfacing with Jeffrey Epstein? Maybe we should go and subpoena all of the records from her. If this is what we're doing now, just saying. But all the way back to January 1, 2020? To see if he was plotting for January 6? Yeah, Smith did not begin working on the case as special counsel until they handed him all the files, until 7 months after the subpoena was issued. Now, the subpoena for the records appears to be one of the first known of the Arctic frost probe. And the toll records did not include the contents of his phone calls or the messages, but it did include details about when and where, with whom, and more. It also sought records for 3 other phone numbers and included a 1-year gag order that was signed off on by the judge. And so we got the full set of documents right here. Let's take a look at them. From James Burnett to Verizon legal process and compliance. Please find attached. I'm J. Brian Burnett here, J. Brian. I'm a senior special agent at the DOJ. Hey, Verizon, please find attached a grand jury subpoena and a non-disclosure order for service May 1, 2022. And where is he with? Office of the Inspector General. That's curious. So before Jack Smith came on board, of course, we read this. The judge who signed off on this is a magistrate judge called called David Baker. And here's more. All right, Verizon, pursuant to a criminal investigation, we demand that you give us information. If you choose to send this via FedEx, let us know. Under the Electronic Communications Act, we're allowed to ask for these things, and we are doing that now. Signed by these prosecutors, Timothy Dury, and we should know if he's still there. If he is still there, with a little bit of investigation, I think this is a good indicator he should be fired. Kenneth Polite, probably him too. Don't know if he's there or not, but if you're going to be executing and demanding search warrants and phone records of your political opponents, not a good marker for your future employment. So Verizon, you are commanded to give us Jim Jordan's phone records. Courts, of course, all sign off on it like it ain't nothing. Timothy A. Dury, he goes and makes that request, grand jury subpoena, and the rest of it's pretty form stuff. We want all the text data, send it, all image data. It's insane. Jim Jordan's records for 2 years gobbled up by hack FBI prosecutors and Office of Inspector General prosecutors saying here, everything, give it to us immediately. Absolutely crazy. And then they don't even know about it. Executive branch spying on our congresspeople. And in this case, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. So he was on with Sean Hannity, and here's what Jim had to say about some of this when it came up.
Contacts were in the information they got. I want a lawsuit.
Yeah, well, Sean, we say this all the time, but I mean, the only thing we get wrong when we start these investigations is it's always worse than we thought. So think about this. We know they spied on President Trump. Then we learned it's senators and the Speaker of the House. And now we learned they were spying on me for 2.5 years. I mean, think about 2.5, all the way back, as you said, to January of 2020. They gathered information that told them who I called, who called me, when we called each other, when the call took place, how long the call was, and where I was at when I made that call. They got your location as well, and they gathered that for over a time period of 28 months. This is how ridiculous this is and why we are doing everything to get to the bottom. You're right. I bet there's a bunch of other members of Congress, a bunch of other citizens like you all over this country that they were looking into, because this is the epitome of the weaponization of government against the other party. President Trump, Republican, all the senators, the Speaker of the House, Republican, and of course the top Republican on the Judiciary Committee. That's how ridiculous this whole thing is.
Did they get your text? Because I've had thousands of my personal private text messages released to the public.
Great question.
They didn't get it from me. They never got it from me.
J6 committee.
I don't save text messages. I don't have an iCloud, but they end up putting it on, putting it up there in hearings and in the newspapers and
committee.
use it in criminal cases, of which I am not a party to.
Yep.
Now, do I deserve some degree of privacy? Do you deserve that?
Yes, you do, Sean.
I think you do.
It's called the Bill of Rights. It's called the Fourth Amendment, for goodness sake. Of course you do. Our understanding of this subpoena is they got the time you sent the text, who you sent the text to, just like they would with the call. They did not get the contents of the text. But we know the January 6th committee got some context of text from you and from me and everyone else. But this subpoena was for when those texts were sent, not the actual contents of it. But what I want to know is who signed off on this ultimately? Did Chris Wray know about this? This is the Biden DOJ. Did Merrick Garland know about this? Because this subpoena was
they all knew about it.
sent in April of 2022. Did Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General, who signed off on this? This idea that you got one branch of government run by Democrats going after the
haul them all in, send them all subpoenas, and demand that they answer questions about it. And if they don't abide by the subpoenas, then you can hold them in contempt and charge them.
Legislative branch at the time run by top Republicans. That's how crazy this all is. So look, we're going to keep gathering information. We're going to be ready for when we bring Jack Smith in for his deposition, because we're going to have a lot of questions for him.
They determined that, quote, disclosure would result in a flight, that you might flee the country, or that you might intimidate witnesses. Who made that determination? Because that is the exact opposite of the person I know.
The same people who said we're going to take Scott Perry's phone. The same people who said we're going to surveil a member of Congress, Scott Perry, for a week. Find out where he works. Find out what kind of vehicle he drives. Get photos of his home, his car. I mean, those are the same people. It's this Wyndham guy that we referred yesterday to the Justice Department. He was the guy who signed off on that subpoena to get...
Yeah, but that referral was pretty weak there, Jim. We read the whole thing here. You're going to charge him with obstruction of Congress for basically invoking his right to remain silent in the middle of your deposition and call that like a crime of the century. These are crimes. Them abusing their positions of power to go get search warrants and get your phone records without notifying you and violating separation of powers. It's a conspiracy against your rights. Pam Bondi and the DOJ should already be screaming about this. And honestly, the fact that Jim Jordan and these guys, it's like, well, we know who signed signed off on it. We literally just read the documents. They're right here. The people's names that we've already articulated. Good place to start. That I didn't hear any one of them mention. This guy right here, Timothy Dury, the name of the requester of this. Who's that guy? Has he been fired? Has he been brought in for questioning? You guys going to do anything about him? He signed off on it. Maybe you guys want to go and take a look at this magistrate judge. You know, you guys can impeach judges that allow this type of crap to happen in their courtrooms. And you can go take a look at this guy, Magistrate Judge David A. Baker. And who was actually presiding over this and the managing judge in the District of Columbia? It was probably Boasberg, who's also over there. So Jim, you guys could also, not continue to gather information and like ask Jack Smith a bunch of questions. I'm so tired of it. You have a duty to regulate these courts. So just start impeaching somebody. I mean, hold a hearing, form a committee, do whatever you have to do formally to do it. But what the hell is going on? Or you can just continue to go on with Fox News and just scream about it with Sean Hannity and nothing can happen. It's like never ending.
It's Scott Perry, a general in our Army, member of Congress for 14 years. It's that mindset that says anyone who's for President Trump is the enemy and we're going after them. That's what they did. So people say, oh, you guys, this is retribution. This is not retribution in any way. It's holding people accountable who did crazy, ridiculous things like Jack Smith, like this Arctic Frost investigation, and like the Biden DOJ.
I'm sorry, Congressman, I really am, and I hope we get to the bottom of it. Why are they trying to take away a provision that would allow people like you and senators spied on illegally to sue the people involved?
We passed legislation 2 days ago out of our committee that says you can't do these kind of gag orders. You can't have them for years and years. There's a higher threshold if you're going to issue these things. We're trying to push back on this in a big way. Maybe we need to tell these carriers, you can't do this at all. Maybe we need to look at that. So this is, again, we have the thing called the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment. We should be respecting that. The way these guys did, I don't think it does. So we're looking at all kinds of legislation.
All right, so that's Jim Jordan, and we appreciate, I guess, what we're getting out of him. So they're going to hold some hearings, and they'll be back. Lindsey Graham also talking about what his plan is, saying that we're going to go prosecute some of these people, and here's what he had to say.
$1,000. I'm going to sue. I want to let you know. I'm going to sue Biden's DOJ and Jack Smith. I'm going to sue Verizon. It's going to be a hell of a lot more than $500,000. This is twice this has happened to me. I was hauled into court in Atlanta for no good reason, spent $1 million, and the crime is being friends of Trump, being supporters of Trump.
Hopefully he does sue and we can start digging into that. But, he's going to have to get over a bunch of hurdles like qualified immunity and other privileges that defendants who worked for the DOJ will invoke soon.